Here are 3 terrifying true road trip horror stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Story 1. The Hitchhiker, a desolate stretch of highway during the night. Mark and his friends were on a cross-country road trip, excited for the summer adventures ahead. As night fell, they found themselves on a long stretch of highway with little to no traffic. The man, disheveled and nervous, introduced himself as Jake. He claimed his car had broken down several miles back, and he was stranded. Although hesitant, the group welcomed him into the car, thinking they could drop him off at the nearest town. They later learned from local news that a man fitting Jake's description had been wanted in several nearby disappearances. They had narrowly avoided becoming part of a chilling story themselves. Suddenly, they spotted a figure waving frantically on the side of the road, a hitchhiker. They packed their gear and drove to a well-reviewed campground, excited for some time away from city life. When they arrived, however, the place had an eerie, feel-overgrown vegetation and an unsettling stillness hung in the air. They had seen a few groups earlier, but now the entire site appeared empty. Feeling unnerved, they decided to turn in early. Feeling adventurous and thinking they could help, they pulled over. As they wandered, they discussed the camp's history, and Eric pulled out his phone to check for any reviews or warnings. In the pitch blackness, they scrambled out of the tent, grabbing whatever they could, and bolted towards the car. But no one believed them. When they tried to find the campground online again, they discovered that it had been closed for years due to unexplained disappearances. Rachel and her sister Lily decided to take a break at a rest stop in the middle of nowhere. The parking lot was eerily empty, watching them with an unsettling intensity, claiming to be having car trouble and asking for directions. Though his demeanor was friendly, Rachel felt an overwhelming sense of dread. Lily, however, wanted to be polite and engaged him in conversation. She nudged Lily, whispering her concern. Rachel noticed a white van parked just beyond the trees with the sliding door open. The man's expression shifted slightly, something dark lurking in his eyes. He thanked them, but took a step closer, blocking their path. They tried to brush it off, but the man's presence sent chills down their spines. With few cars under the dim fluorescent lights, feeling fatigued, they stepped into the restroom to freshen up. The couple never camped again. Rachel suddenly pulled Lily back as she yelled. They jumped into the vehicle and locked the doors, nursing their panic. They sped away from the rest stop, and after a safe distance, they pulled over to catch their breath. Shaken, they decided to call the police, sharing their frightening encounter. "Let's go." They both turned and ran, their hearts pounding. As they reached the safety of their car, Rachel glanced back and saw the man sprinting toward them. Haunted by the dark secrets they had unwittingly stumbled upon, as they ran, they could hear the footsteps closing in. Fears were confirmed when a news report flashed across their screens about a series of abductions linked to that exact rest stop. The article described a man who approached women and attempted to lure them into his van. Rachel and Lily were left with the chilling realization that they had narrowly escaped a sinister fate. Their thoughts forever haunted by the man who could have changed their lives in an instant. They reached the car, breathless and frantic, and Eric fumbled with the keys. With the sound of branches snapping behind them, they finally got the car started and sped out of the campground, hearts racing. Strangely, there was very little information available online. Peering out, they saw multiple shadows flitting between the trees, but couldn't make out any clear figures. Fearing the worst, they decided to stay quiet and listen. An unsettling thought crept in, but they shrugged it off and continued their adventure. Almost as if he had recently been involved in something gruesome, feeling increasingly anxious, they finally pulled into a gas station to use the restroom and grab snacks. Terrified, Sophia and Eric held their breath, praying they wouldn't be heard. The noises lasted for what felt like hours, and just when they thought it was over, a violent rustling echoed nearby. As they continued down the road, Jake began to share strange stories about the area, including tales of disappearances and local legends. The friends exchanged uneasy glances. The stories felt too real. They hesitated, wondering whether they should let Jake out or just leave him in the car. Before they could decide, Jake appeared behind them, his demeanor suddenly shifting. "You can't just leave me here," he hissed. "I need a ride." They asked him about his own experiences. Sensing the danger, they hurried into the gas station and told the attendant to call the police. When they returned, Jake was standing next to their car, a wild look in his eyes. As the attendant walked outside, Jake fled into the darkness, disappearing into the trees by the roadside. But he avoided direct answers, his eyes darting nervously around the car. Things took a troubling turn when Mark noticed something odd about Jake's hands. There were dark stains on them. As they got out, Mark and his friends decided they'd had enough. The friends exchanged panicked looks. Shaken, Mark and his friends never told anyone about the hitchhiker, but the experience lingered in their minds. Story 2. The Vanishing Campground, a secluded campground in the woods. Sophia and her boyfriend Eric decided to take a camping trip deep in the woods after finishing college. After setting up their tent, they decided to take a hike on the nearby trails, exploring the rugged terrain. As twilight approached, they returned to their campsite. While setting up a fire, they noticed something odd. The other campers had vanished. That night, they were jolted awake by strange noises outside their tent, muffled voices and hurried footsteps. The whispers grew closer, and then they heard something that made their blood run cold. They couldn't get away. It was their turn to flee. Later, they recounted their terrifying experience to friends. Story 3. The Rest Stop Abduction, an isolated interstate rest stop at midnight. After a long day of driving, while washing her hands, Rachel noticed a man lurking outside the bathroom. When they stepped outside, the man approached them as they pointed him toward the nearest exit. In that moment, time seemed to slow, the adrenaline surging. Days later, these true stories remind us of the dangers that can lurk on seemingly innocent road trips, emphasizing vigilance and caution when venturing into the unknown.